So in this book, the author takes you through his own journey, and it's about how although he achieved everything that he has set out to do, he realized that the world has lied to him. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and as you can see, in the spirit of Christmas and as the year wraps up, I'd just like to share some of the top books that I've read in 2021. And hopefully you'll find some of the books here in the stack interesting, and perhaps you can add them to your Christmas wish list or even consider some of them as a gift. So without further ado, let's get started on the first book, which is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. So this book has got to be one of my top favorite books in the genre of money and personal finance in this year. So in this book, Morgan Housel shares with us what true wealth really means, as well as some concepts about how getting wealthy and staying wealthy requires two different skills. He also argues that our savings is a gap between our income and our ego, and we should quit playing status games and try to keep up with our neighbors. There are plenty of lessons that I've taken away from this book, and previously I've also done a video to summarize this book, so you can watch it later after this video. So the next book that I'd like to share is called The Joys of Compounding, The Passionate Pursuit of Lifelong Learning by Gautam Baid. And what I really like about this book is how comprehensive it is, and the author actually distills the wisdom of investing and life all into one book. So he also shares a lot of investment philosophies that are from popular investors like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and it is very highly organized into 5 different sections. So if I could just read out the sections for you. So section number 1 is about achieving worldly wisdom, and this is where he talks about the importance of becoming a learning machine and how we should always try to become better version of ourselves than yesterday by reading and expanding our knowledge. In the second section, he talks about building strong character and the importance of choosing the right role models, teachers, and associates in our lives, because these people can help us to learn faster and also avoid making mistakes in our journey. There are also little nuggets of wisdom in this chapter, such as humility is the gateway to attaining wisdom, living life according to the inner scorecard is the most important, and the key to success in life is delayed gratification. And if we move on to the next one, it's about common stock investing, the importance of having a business ownership mindset, the importance of checklists in decision making, and something that I really took away here in this chapter is about journaling. So the author says here that journaling is a powerful tool for self-reflection, and indeed, as someone who has kept a journal for many years, I often use my journal as a way to keep track of my decisions that I've made, as well as how I felt during different moments in my life. But keeping a journal for my investment decisions was something that I've never come across before until I read this book. And I'm actually very grateful that I kept a journal, especially during the March crisis in 2020 last year. That was when the stock market crashed by almost 30%, and it was also during the period whereby I increased my positions in some of the stocks that I have. And despite this kind of fear in the market, when I note down on my decisions and my investment thesis as to why I still believe that the stock will be performing well despite the COVID or after COVID, it really strengthens my conviction, and keeping an investment journal to track down why I buy or sell a stock has helped me to understand my thinking process better, so that I can judge my performance in the stock market not because of the outcome, but also because of the thinking process, because that is more important. In the next section, he shares about portfolio management, and that the holy grail of long-term value investing is to find companies with a high return on invested capital, and not just that, they are also able to reinvest the earnings back into the company at a high rate. So overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I also appreciate that the author has sectioned it really well. There are different headings and subheadings in each chapter, so that it makes it easier on the eyes as well. And also there's a strong personal voice of the author. It almost speaks to you like as though your father is trying to teach you about investing in life. So it's a really, really good book, and I highly recommend it. So again, it's called The Joys of Compounding by Gautam Baid. So on to the next book we have here is Ask Your Developer by Jeff Lawson. So if you didn't know, Jeff Lawson, he actually used to work at Amazon back in his early days of AWS in about 2004, I believe. And he actually left Amazon to start his own company called Twilio. So you might be wondering, what is Twilio? So if you have ever ordered pizza from Domino's, used Shopify or even WhatsApp, there's no doubt that you have used many microservices from the company called Twilio. This book is about how software is reshaping our lives and the economy, and how at the heart of digital transformation of every company, developers are the ones that really knows what can or cannot be done, and therefore they're arguably one of the most important division in a company. And I also enjoyed learning about what Twilio does, what is API, what is the value of microservices, and all these are technical stuff, but it's essentially not written in very hard to understand way. It's actually quite digestible. So I really highly recommend this book if you're in the tech space or if you're interested in SaaS products. This book is something that you should pick up. The next book that I like to share is called The Defining Decade: Why Your Twenties Matter and How to Make the Best Out of Them. Many young people are undergoing an existential crisis, and we often have these questions that remain unanswered in our head, like what are we supposed to do in life? How do I find my passion? How do I find the right partner? And how do I overcome my relationship baggage and things like that? It's definitely not a chicken soup for the soul kind of self-help book, and the author really pushes you to challenge your own thinking and create certainty in your life, and also be intentional about the relationships you have. Overall, this is a very practical book that I highly recommend young people to read it, and I've also done a video review to talk about my thoughts from this book. So you can check out that video for a sneak peek before you read the actual book. The next book is called How to Live by Derek Sivers, 27 Conflicting Answers and One Weird Conclusion. This book is an absolute piece of art because each line is so thought-provoking, and the author really brings you through a journey to really question your own assumptions and beliefs that you have. So I think I'll just read one line or a few lines from the first chapter to give you a feel of how it really is. Here's how to live. Be independent. All misery comes from dependency. If you weren't dependent on income, people, or technology, you would be truly free. The only way to be deeply happy is to break all dependencies. So this is just a snippet of the book, and there's also an audiobook version whereby the author himself, Derek Sivers, narrates the entire book for you. And I really highly recommend listening to the audiobook as well, because he really reads each line with so much diction and emphasis and really brings out the entire book. So again, this is How to Live by Derek Sivers. The next book is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. So at first glance, you might think that this is a children's book because of the illustrations, but it's actually such a really heartwarming book with illustrations that are hand-drawn and hand-sketched by the author. So I don't want to spoil any part of this book because it's really something that you have to interpret it by yourself. But it's actually a story about the journey and the conversations between these four characters, the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse. And it really takes you through their journey, and you can understand more about love, life, and friendship in their conversations. This book reminds me that it's okay to be imperfect, and it's okay not to have things all figured out in life. And it's such a timely and good reminder, especially during this crazy period of the world. So definitely something to pick up. So on to the last book that I have here. It is Happy Sexy Millionaire by Stephen Bartlett. Unexpected truths about fulfillment, love, and success. So don't judge a book by its title because it's not as cliche as you think it is. It's actually not cliche at all. So this book is actually from a real life story about how the author was back then 18 years old, black, broke, lonely, insecure, university dropout from a bankrupt family. And he actually wrote in his diary that I will be a happy, sexy millionaire by the age of 25. And indeed, all the stars aligned, and he actually created a multi-million-dollar business by the age of 25. So in this book, the author takes you through his own journey, and it's about how, although he achieved everything that he has set out to do, he realized that the world has lied to him. It has lied to him about how we attain fulfillment, love, and success, and what those words actually mean. So I really enjoy this book because it is so relatable, And there are also many sketches and illustrations that really captures the ideas really well, and these illustrations makes it easier for you to visualize the concepts, and also it's an interesting way of storytelling that I've never seen in any other books. He also has a podcast called The Diary of a CEO, which is also one of my favorite podcasts because I can learn so much from the interviews that he has with people. And I think he's also recently interviewed Jordan Peterson, and I'm really looking forward for the episode. So that's a wrap for some of the books that I really enjoyed this year. And as you can tell, I'm mostly a non-fiction book reader. I don't read a lot of fiction books, so if you guys have any good fiction books that you want to recommend, do leave it in the comments below. I'll also include the links to all the books that I've mentioned in this video in the description box below, as well as some articles that I've written for some of these books. Thanks for watching, and I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I hope you get to spend more time with your loved ones this year. See you in the next video.